Sweet Auburn, Georgia, 1939. Before I begin, let me remind you of a game once played in whispers across America, a game older than state lotteries, older than scratch tickets, a game called The Numbers. It worked like this. You picked a number between 001 and 999. Put down a dime, a dollar, whatever you had. If your number came up, the payout was 600 to 1. That meant a single dollar could turn into 600 overnight. But who decided the winning number? Not the house, not the mob. It came from something no man could rig, the public payouts of the horse races. If the winning horse paid $2,925, then 925 was the winning number that day. Transparent, independent, impossible to cheat. At least that's what people believed. Kim was 14 when her uncle, a man everyone called Uncle Kite, gave himself over to the numbers. He worked long days in a furniture shop, earning just 40 cents an hour. By night, he dreamed of winning enough to lift himself out of poverty. $3 a day versus the promise of 600. That was a temptation too strong to resist. Every spare coin he found, $1, 50 cents, even a quarter, went straight to the numbers house. It became less of a habit and more of a need. The addiction swallowed him whole. He wasn't alone. His friends, John, Kong, and Ken, were the same. Together, they schemed for a way to beat the game. Some players studied patterns. Others followed hunches. But Uncle Kite and his circle turned to something darker. They sought answers from the dead. They used a Ouija board night after night, summoning spirits and begging them for tomorrow's winning number. Sometimes the board moved. Sometimes nothing happened at all. And when the spirits did speak, their numbers almost never hit. One evening, fate brought a stranger into Kite's life. His name was Kingman, an immigrant from Asia. He visited the shop on business, but soon struck up a friendship. Over drinks, their conversations wandered. Money, luck, the numbers. When Kite confessed that he and his friends used a Ouija board to summon spirits, Kingman shook his head. "Too weak," he said. "If you want the dead to listen, you must call them properly. I can teach you a ritual, a requiem. But it is not a game. It is dangerous." Kite leaned in like a starving man offered bread. "Show me." The ritual was unlike anything Kite had ever heard. A candle, a stick of incense, a bottle of rice vinegar, a rusted hammer, and strangest of all, a piece of wood taken from a pregnant woman's bed. Each item, Kingman said, carried weight in the spirit world. "If you light the incense and chant these words," Kingman explained, "the spirit will hear you. Pour the vinegar over the wood and drive it into the grave with the hammer. That binds them. They will come. Whether they speak, that is up to them." Kite wrote down every word, every instruction. He showed them to his friends. Together, they decided to try, but someone else had overheard. Kim, just 14, had listened from the shadows. She told her sister Belle. Soon, 2 more girls, Popping and Lynette, joined them. They were terrified, but curiosity burned brighter than fear. They wanted to see spirits for themselves. Friday night, 11 o'clock, the men carried their ritual tools into the cemetery, and behind them, hiding in the dark, crept the 4 girls. At the first grave, Kite lit a candle on the stone. He held the incense high and began the chant. When the last words left his lips, he poured vinegar onto the nailed wood. The air hissed, like gas catching fire. A figure appeared, faceless, pale shirt billowing though there was no wind. It drifted slowly across the tomb. The men begged it for a number. Uncle Kite repeated the question again and again, but the figure had no mouth, no voice. It only floated, faceless and silent. In the end, Kite read the dismissal. The incense burned out, and the spirit vanished with the same hiss it had arrived. They moved deeper into the cemetery. This time, their ritual brought laughter, high, sharp laughter. One by one, small shapes flickered into view. Dozens of children, translucent, glowing faintly in the moonlight. They darted and spun around the tomb like children at play. But when Kite asked them for numbers, the laughter twisted into screams. All at once, the children wailed in agony. The sound pierced the night. The men staggered back. Finally, Kite dismissed them, and they melted into the dark. By now, Belle had had enough. She and Lynette slipped away, too frightened to continue. But Kim and Popping stayed. They wanted to see how far this would go. The third grave was different, older, weathered. Kite whispered that it belonged to a woman who had died with her unborn child. A grave like that, he said, was sacred, powerful. The ritual began again. Candle, incense, vinegar poured over wood. This time, no hiss. Only a scream, long, shuddering. The scream of a woman torn from the earth itself. The hammer struck, bang. Another scream, bang, another. Each strike dragged something closer. The ground trembled. Dirt shifted. Then, something clawed free. First, a baby's fragile form. Then arms, legs, a torso, a head. Each part surfacing, piece by piece, until it shaped itself into the figure of a woman clutching her child. Her movements were wrong, jerky, animal-like. She scuttled forward on all fours, holding the baby tight, just like a monkey at the zoo. Her eyes gleamed red. The girls sobbed. John and Ken bolted, leaving their tools behind. But Kite stood frozen. He couldn't run, couldn't even scream. The spirit turned to him. Her voice was low, echoing, as though it rose from the bottom of the grave itself. "You call me for numbers?" Her laugh was hollow, bitter. "Foolish man, they all run. But you stayed. So I will give you what you ask. But listen well, if you share my gift, I will break your neck." She gave him 3 numbers. Then, as the incense crumbled into ash, she and her child sank back into the soil. The next day, Uncle Kite gathered every coin he had and bet it all. That evening, the numbers hit. Just as she had promised, he won. But the victory came at a cost. The girls who had followed paid dearly. All 4 fell ill with fever. And poor Popping never recovered. From that night on, she laughed when nothing was funny, cried when nothing was sad, like a mind broken. She lived that way until the day she died. As for Uncle Kite, he brought offerings to her grave. He honored the spirit as he had promised. But Kim said he was never the same. His pockets held money, yes, but his eyes carried something else, the haunted look of a man who had made a bargain with the dead. This was episode 8, The Numbers Game. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a like and subscribe to help our channel grow. Until next time, stay curious and take care.